Hi, it's Phoenix Genesis, getting ready to go on the Pacific Crest Trail coming up, a little more than 2 weeks, and I'm out on the trail. So again, on my quest to be lighter and lighter since I'm old and out of shape, dropped the shelter down. 2016, I had a 2-pound tent, which is still pretty light as far as shelters go, and I've progressively dropped that down. The last 2 years I've gone with poncho tarps, the So Poly, but I wanted something. The problem with So Poly is if it gets really, really wet, it doesn't dry fast and it's just kind of heavy, and then you're lugging around that heavy, wet tarp, and there just isn't enough coverage. So for, I think, my Poly Cedar Summit poncho tarps, which I love, by the way, are 8 ounces. So I wanted to drop down to a 3-ounce shelter. Now, with the little Dyneema case, and again, Dyneema is the way to go, and the Poly Cryo ground sheet, we're looking at 4 and 5/8 ounces. So you can take it as a 3-ounce or take it as a 4 and 5/8 ounces. You're going to add the guy lines depending on what kind of guy lines you use. I didn't want to wait with guy lines because everybody's different. I actually ordered some reflective ones from Z-Pack, because at night when you get up in the middle of the night to do your business and come back, and all the tents and tarps look the same at, like, say, Lake Morena, it's nice to have your little headlamp or your iPhone light and be able to see those reflective guy lines and say, that's mine, and not bother anybody else. So if I would add that, maybe 5 ounces for the whole shelter. And again, I will do a bivy sack too, so that's another 4 ounces. So 8 ounces isn't bad to be completely dry and warm and waterproof. And the nice thing about this little 3-ounce baby is if you already have a Dyneema shelter, like a duplex tent, and you're worried about condensation because it's a single wall tent, well, for an extra 3 ounces, which isn't that much, you can just leave the Pop-Tarts or the extra Cliff Bars or Snickers at home, and you want to lose weight anyway on the trail. Take this extra 3 ounces, which is very small and compressible, and put it over your, clip it up to your Cuben fiber tent or your other tarp. I actually ordered a 7x9 foot Z-Packs tarp, and now you've got a double wall shelter. It takes care of your condensation problem, and especially if you're using a duplex and you're sharing it as a couple, one can carry the duplex and the other could carry the this little 3-ouncer, and this makes a great poncho as well, so even though it isn't a poncho tarp per se, you could modify it. Now, the reason this is so light, it's got a lot of coverage. This is a hammock one, so it's what's called an asymmetrical, so it's more of a cap cut for hammocks. So it's only going to have 4 tie outs. It's going to have that's Dutchware right there. Don't use FedEx. That was like a nightmare to get it here, but you see it's very long. It's just going to be more narrow. God, how did that get all dirty? Must have just hit that bush just now. But anyway, again, another thing about this, you can order like a camo, which is not be as transparent, so it's more privacy. This is not if you're someone who's into your privacy in your sleeping system. And the problem with this is the lighter material, which I want, is kind of semi-transparent. So yeah, you're not going to take that into consideration with your shelter. Doesn't bother me at all, honestly. But you can see this is super, super, super long. I could wrap this around me and make a nice little poncho tarp with it. And also, it would be a nice pack cover as well. Cover me and the pack. Saves a lot of weight versus using a frog tog or, having to buy a separate rain jacket. I just used a $1 Walmart poncho that also can be added protection. I could just kind of put some duct tape or some clips and make that as a storm door for the 3-ouncer. But yeah, nice big, lot of coverage. My poncho tarp, I think, is 4 feet by 6 feet, and this looks like it's like 8 or 9 feet. It's pretty long. I still have to measure it, and height wise, I think it's like 4.5 feet by maybe 8 or 9 feet. So a lot of coverage, especially if you're taking a small, like, hummingbird or a small hammock that I have that I've taken on the PCT. This is it. And again, it packs super, super, super small. and Dyneema, Cuben fiber, whatever you want to call it by whichever name, is very, very, very strong. Now again, anything, if you're not careful, is going to rip on the trail. I cannot stress that enough. So just because it's strong doesn't mean it's indestructible. And you know, campsite placement is everything, making sure you don't have those twigs and branches. Also another thing, I love multi-purpose items. Polycro can get you know, very fragile. I had the first time I used it 2 years ago, it ripped in the desert. It didn't last very long. I think it was it ripped before I got to Warner Springs, and it had so much duct tape it doubled the weight of it. So make sure you have extras of these. But if you don't want something that you know, like, these things also are like dust magnets in the desert. Every ounce of dust just kind of clings to it. You could just use this as actually your ground sheet. It's again very durable, and in a pinch, if your pack were to, like, you decide your pack is too heavy or rip, you could actually just kind of roll everything up into this and make this kind of a pack too. So again, I think everybody should own like 3 ounces of Dyneema. It's multi-use, waterproof, and it'll save your life. Anyway, that's it. Phoenix Genesis. See you guys on the trail. Bye.